I love talking about misconceptions. What's the biggest misconception you see right now?
The biggest misconception is PMI is super expensive. I hear from people over and over again, 2 or 3 times a week, we're talking about somebody who's going to put down less than 20%, what the cost of PMI is. Invariably, people are doing research online. We're talking to other people before I talk to them. And they'll say to me, oh, well, I read that PMI is going to be $400 a month. And then I come back and say, guess what? The PMI is $120 a month. And that is the single biggest misconception that I think the consumer has right now is the cost of PMI. If you have good credit, even if you're doing a relatively small down payment at 5%, and I'll just give you an example here. So if you look at a $500,000 loan and somebody with really good credit, they're going to pay about $1,000 a year potentially in mortgage insurance, which is less than $100 a month. So often the client says, that's it? I read it was going to be $300, $400, $500, $600 a month. So that's by far the single biggest misconception that I see is the cost of PMI.
I hear that a lot too. I don't want to pay the PMI. Right. Talk to Rob.
Right. You know, we end up with lots of people in the last several years who, once you start to talk about the cost of PMI, that say, you know what, I'm not that pressed now to get to a 20% down payment. I'll go ahead and stop with 10%, or I'll stop with 15%. I'm not going to borrow money from somebody else. I'm not going to get money from my parents. I can do this on my own. I didn't realize that the cost of PMI was as cheap as it is. It's not that important for me to put down 20%. It's amazing to me. Every week I talk to somebody about this at least a couple of times.